What if a nightmare could follow you into the real world? This isn't just a story. It is a terrifying account from a group of friends in Brazil whose lives were shattered by something they can't explain. It all started on a seemingly normal night out in São Paulo. 4 friends, Leo, Sofia, Miguel, and Julia, were walking home, laughing and recounting the night's events. The city was alive, but one street they turned down was unusually quiet, bathed in the eerie glow of a single flickering streetlight. That's when they saw her. Standing at the far end of the street was a woman. Her back was to them, but something was immediately wrong. Her long, dark hair wasn't falling down her back. It was floating, defying gravity, writhing slowly in the still night air as if it were underwater. They all froze, the laughter dying in their throats. A cold dread washed over them. Who was she? What was happening? As they watched, paralyzed, she slowly turned her head. They couldn't make out her face. It was just a blur of shadow, but they felt her gaze lock onto them. Then, as quickly as she appeared, she was gone. The street was empty. Shaken, they tried to rationalize what they had seen. A trick of the light? A prank? But they couldn't shake the chilling feeling that had settled deep in their bones. They quickly said their goodbyes and hurried home, each of them trying to forget the impossible sight. But forgetting wasn't an option. That very night, the nightmare began. Leo was the first to talk about it. He called Sofia the next morning, his voice trembling. He described a dream where he was trapped in a dark, water-filled room. He couldn't move, and the woman from the street was there. Her face was now visible, pale and gaunt, with empty black sockets where her eyes should have been. Her floating hair surrounded him, brushing against his skin, cold and slimy like seaweed. He woke up gasping for air, his heart pounding in his chest. Sofia felt a chill run down her spine. She had the exact same dream, the same dark room, the same feeling of being submerged, and the same terrifying woman with her writhing, floating hair. She quickly messaged Miguel and Julia. The response was immediate and filled with panic. They had all experienced the identical nightmare. It was impossible. A shared hallucination, maybe. They agreed to meet up, needing the comfort of each other's presence. When they met, the fear was palpable. They compared every detail of the dream, and it was all the same. The cold water, the pressure in their chests, the woman's horrifying eyeless face. They tried to convince themselves it was just a coincidence, a product of their shared shock from the previous night. But the explanation felt weak, hollow. How could 4 people have the exact same detailed nightmare? They decided to avoid that street, to try and put the incident behind them. But the entity wasn't finished with them. The nightmares continued, night after night. Each dream was the same, a relentless replay of the same terrifying scene. They started losing sleep, their days filled with anxiety and exhaustion. Dark circles formed under their eyes. They became jumpy, seeing shadows in the corners of their vision. The woman with the floating hair was no longer just a dream figure. Her presence began to bleed into their waking lives. Julia was in her apartment one afternoon when she heard a dripping sound from her bathroom. She went to check, but all the faucets were off. The sound persisted. Then she saw it. A trail of wet footprints leading from her bathtub to the hallway, stopping right outside her bedroom door. Her blood ran cold. She was home alone. Miguel started having sleep paralysis. He would wake up in the middle of the night, completely unable to move, his eyes wide open. He would feel a heavy weight on his chest, making it hard to breathe. And in the corner of his room, he would see her, a dark silhouette with that unmistakable floating hair, just watching him. He would try to scream, to move, to do anything, but he was a prisoner in his own body until the sun began to rise and she would fade away. The group was falling apart. The lack of sleep and constant fear were taking a toll. They argued, blaming each other, trying to find a rational explanation where there was none. Had they stumbled upon something they shouldn't have? A local legend? A curse? They desperately searched online for anything about a spirit with floating hair in Snow Hollow, but found nothing. They felt completely isolated, trapped in a personal horror that no one else could understand. One evening, they were on a group video call, trying to support each other. Leo looked the worst. He was gaunt, his eyes wide with a terror that never seemed to leave him. He told them he couldn't take it anymore. He said that in the dream, the night before, the woman had spoken to him. Her voice was a gurgling whisper, like someone speaking from underwater. She had said his name. He was convinced she was coming for him, and she wasn't going to stay in the dream world for much longer. The others tried to calm him down, telling him it was just the exhaustion talking. They promised to meet in the morning. That was the last time they ever spoke to Leo. The next morning, Leo didn't answer his phone. Sophia, worried, went to his apartment. She knocked, but there was no answer. A sense of dread filled her. She called the building manager, who let her into the apartment. The scene inside was peaceful, almost disturbingly so. Leo was in his bed, looking like he was asleep, but he was cold, unresponsive. The paramedics arrived and confirmed their worst fears. Leo had passed away in his sleep. His face was frozen in an expression of pure terror. It was the same look they all had when they woke up from the nightmare. Leo's death shattered their denial. This was not a coincidence. It wasn't just a dream. It was a curse, and it was real. The entity had taken one of them, and they knew it would be coming for the rest. The fear they had felt before was nothing compared to the raw, visceral terror that now consumed them. They weren't just being haunted, they were being hunted. Desperate, the remaining 3 friends, Sophia, Miguel, and Julia, decided they couldn't just wait for their turn. They had to fight back. They pooled their money and sought out anyone who might be able to help. They went to priests, spiritual mediums, and experts in local folklore. Most dismissed them as being crazy or overwrought with grief. But finally, they found an old woman, a specialist in Afro-Brazilian traditions, who listened to their story without judgment. Her face grew grim as they described the woman with the floating hair. She told them they had encountered an afogada, the spirit of a woman who had drowned and whose soul was trapped between worlds. These spirits are filled with rage and despair, and they often latch on to the living, pulling them into their own watery graves. She explained that seeing the spirit was the first step. The shared nightmare was the mark of her curse, and she would drag them, one by one, into the same fate she suffered. The old woman gave them specific instructions for a ritual of protection. It involved cleansing herbs, prayers, and creating special talismans to wear at all times. She warned them that it might not be enough. The afogada was powerful, and now that it had tasted a life, its hunger would be stronger. Their only true hope was to sever the connection completely. The ritual was their last stand. They gathered at Miguel's apartment, the air thick with incense and fear. They followed the old woman's instructions to the letter, chanting the prayer she had taught them, their voices shaking. As they performed the ritual, the atmosphere in the room grew heavy and cold. The lights flickered violently. They could hear the sound of dripping water all around them, even though everything was dry. A low, gurgling whisper echoed from the shadows, calling their names. It felt like an eternity, but as they completed the final part of the ritual, a sudden silence fell over the room. The cold dissipated. The dripping stopped. For the first time in weeks, they felt a sense of peace. The talismans around their necks felt warm to the touch. That night, for the first time since it all began, they slept without the nightmare. The woman with the floating hair was gone from their dreams. The waking haunting stopped. The curse, it seemed, was broken. But their ordeal left a permanent scar. They had lost their friend, and they were forever changed by the experience. They live with the knowledge that there are dark things in the world, things that defy explanation, lurking just beyond the veil of our reality. They survived, but they will never forget the terrifying woman with the floating hair and the nightmare that almost consumed them all. Their story serves as a chilling warning. Be careful what you see in the shadows, because you never know what might see you back. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as chilling as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more tales of the unexplained. Stay safe out there.